Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to a special edition Rise Up production. This is the Working in Web3 panel. All of our expert friends and guests are here. We're so excited to answer your questions. A lot of folks come in and ask us, Evan, Alex, Will, they want to know from our friends, how did you come to start working in crypto? And what do you do here? I think there's a misperception that a lot of people here are like only technical people. They're only, high net worth investors. John Oliver famously said, cryptocurrency is everything you don't understand about math, put together with everything you don't understand about money. And we are here to demystify it for you. So we've got a couple of panelists that we're going to let introduce themselves. But first, I just want to say hi to my good friend and co-host, Mr. Will Watson. Perfect timing, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm high off of my own supply of Greek meatballs, homemade tzatziki sauce. And then I make this also delicious, like tomato, olive oil, buffalo mozzarella, like dipping for sourdough bread. And so that's why I was late, because I was really trying to finish making dinner and then making it so that my girlfriend doesn't totally murder me, because the kitchen's a disaster, but it was 2 disasters mere minutes ago. So,
well, congratulations on pulling it off, man. I think we should get right into it. I would love to go around the room and introduce our panelists, and more than that, let you introduce yourselves. I'm just going to go counterclockwise this way, and that'll bring it back to my Will. Will the Trill, welcome to this special edition of Rise Up. Do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself to the folks back home who may not be familiar with your work?
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfect, brother.
Cool. So yeah, my name's Will. I've been recruiting in crypto full-time for going on 5 years. Before this, I was in military medicine and then did physician recruiting, which then kind of segued into recruiting into blockchain. I mostly work with pre-seed to Series A venture-backed crypto startups. So a lot of like early stage recruiting. I don't work with like the Coinbases or the Binances or the Circles of the world. So yeah, focus on like early stage, non-technical and technical recruiting for early stage teams.
Beautiful, thank you. And that's where you spend your time in the crypto space. When did you make the pivot to doing crypto and recruiting?
End of 2021, start of 2022. I just got out of the military. I was doing physician recruiting, stuck in like a small cubicle, and I was like, this is not it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your service, and thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks, man.
Emet, do you want to go next and tell the folks back home who you are?
Hi, guys. I'm Emet. I'm currently working as the head of operations at Metana. So I got into crypto in 2020. During the time I was actually following my degree in computer science. And what I mainly focused on was coding. So I mainly got into Solidity, which is the go-to language when it comes to smart contract development in Ethereum. And so I've been working with Metana since 2023. And we've built one of the go-to boot camps with a job guarantee when it comes to getting into Web3 blockchain development and landing a job.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, my friend. And since you're also at Metana, Zara, I'm actually going to bring it back to you. You're in the clockwise circle last, so you hear Metana twice. Larissa, will you tell the folks who you are?
Hi, I'm Larissa. I am a PR director. I work at a crypto-focused comms agency and have been in crypto for about almost 10 years now, working with huge companies mostly, but then also some smaller startups. And I've been on Dr. Phil to discuss Bitcoin. There it is.
That's awesome.
I kind of wanted to ask you about that because I don't know that I had been on your Twitter profile long enough to see this. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. You got some tea to share with us another time, yeah?
Yes, that's a good story to tell. But yeah, just making crypto make sense for people, helping companies communicate what they do.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Za, tell the folks who you are and what you do.
Hey guys, second time around being with the Rams community, so great to be back here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Za. I work as the marketing manager at Metana, where I lead marketing, community, and partnerships. The partnership and the community collaborations that we've been doing with the Rise Up Morning Show have been amazing. This is such a lovely community. I'm actually quite new to Web3. My introduction to the Web3 space is actually with Metana.
Did we lose Shazza?
She's no longer working with Web3.
Oh, no.
Oh,
okay.
we lost her. Looks like there was a blackout.
No problem. We'll come back to Za in just a second. While we wait for her to rejoin us, I actually, since we've talked about Metana twice and upskilling seems like a good place to start, Emet, can you talk a little about what Metana does specifically, but also just the different kinds of opportunities that there are for people who maybe don't know what skills are needed to start exploring that?
So to specifically cater for the the beginner market who doesn't know anything about coding,
I'm back, guys.
have this. Hi. So we have this full stack Web3 beginner bootcamp, right? So it's around 7 months. It's a combination of 2 bootcamps, to be honest. So we basically help them through full stack development. So I'm basically talking about if anyone wants to get into the coding side of Web3, like land a developer role. So that's where we specialize at, right? So there's a ton of more other opportunities if you want to get into Web3, like community managers, and obviously there are a lot of things to do with social media and business developers as well. But what I'm focusing here right now is mostly developers. So like if anyone wants to transition into a role, into a developer role, it's some of the skills that you sort of need to master is full stack development. Along with that, you'll have to learn a smart contract programming language, which we teach here is Solidity. And once you know that, we sort of have this 16-week program where you're going to learn everything about building ERC20 contracts to multi-sig wallets to building your own idea on Ethereum. And once you do that, you sort of get all the skills that are sort of necessary to have when you're applying for developer roles. And we have this job camp, which is a separate career support program we have in terms of helping you create your CV, your resume, and help them sort of do the right kind of intro to all the companies that are open for hiring.
Beautiful. And Za, since you cut out and then joined us again, did you have anything that you wanted to add? The question was really, what kinds of skills are worth focusing on, and how do you recommend people get started?
Cool. I think Emet must have covered the technical side of things. So speaking as someone who comes from a completely non-technical background, I think that if I was to make a contribution on it, I'd say that I'd speak a little bit more on the soft skill side of things. And I think that one thing that we actually try to tackle is the fact that there is a misconception about the kind of roles that are available in Web3. Emet touched on it before, and he mentioned things like community management, and maybe he might have mentioned developer relations as well. There is this misconception that in order to get into Web3 or in order to get into tech, you need to kind of inherently be really good at coding or really good at math and just kind of have that skill from a really young age, which is something that you see with a lot of developers and a lot of engineers. The fact of the matter is, I think the biggest thing that I think people have to conquer first and foremost is that intimidation that comes with the idea of becoming a developer. Because it's especially if you come from a non-tech background like myself, when you look at something like coding and software engineering, it can come across as something that's extremely daunting. There's lines and lines of code, and it can seem like something that's just a little bit too much to digest. I think the first thing is kind of like that mental barrier that you need to break, which is, I'm not cut out to be a coder, which is not true. We've got a lot of people who actually come from completely non-tech backgrounds who've been able to make big pivots. So I think that's one thing. And I think the other thing that people need to think about is, what are your transferable skills? For example, I come from a community management background and I have a career in Web3. Not a coder, I'm not a techie either. But there is a space for everyone in Web3. And I think that's actually the beauty of the industry. So if you have transferable skills from maybe marketing or community management or people management or managing people and culture, bringing teams together, because the Web3 space is extremely decentralized. Remote working and decentralized workspaces is something that's really, really big in Web3. And if you have transferable skills like that, there's still a space for you here. It's
On that,
always, yeah. Sorry about
sorry,
that.
Zab. Before we got past all that too much, I wanted to ask, you listed a bunch of skills people can have to get into Web3. And one of the questions that one of our community members, Bearded, has was, what is the lowest barrier to entry skill set region, in your opinion? Is it coding? Is it marketing? Is it HR? Is it, operations or something else?
I think I have my opinion on it, but I think I'll let Imet take this one first and then I'll jump in on that.
So when you talk about entry, it's different barriers, right? So for instance, for a developer, the skill set that he has to sort of have is completely different from someone who wants to go for a community manager role or like a business development role. So if you're talking about the skill set, what you need to have as a baseline, I would say one would need to understand what Web3 concepts are, how does the blockchain work? And there's a lot of terms that are, I think middle, sort of the slang that are being emerged through the years, LFG. So those are the things that you can see on Twitter when people are talking about some crypto skyrocketing. And so I think you can acquire these skills by being part of a community. Any community, you probably see a lot of people who supports that particular project, and you can sort of interact with these people and sort of get to understand these jargon, right? Specifically Web3, and that will help you out in most of the non-tech roles. And that's just the starting point, to explore these things. That's how you get to know, okay, these are the things that are there, and what is this word? You go and research about it, and then you probably end up researching a particular job role, maybe in Web3 careers or any other job board. But if you are looking for something like a developer role, that's where my expertise is at. It's you need to have experience building projects, but I'm happy to talk about it later. I'm going to give Zar the chance and the others to sort of.
Can I actually redirect it to Will, since he has the opportunity probably to place a lot of candidates from a lot of different backgrounds? I'd be curious to know what kinds of folks you see, what you think the lowest barrier to entry skills are, and where you'd like to see folks improve. Maybe some resources too.
Yeah, I think pretty consistently there's usually interest from TradFi or Web2 folks who trade crypto or are interested in the space and want to get into it. I actually think the barrier to entry is not in terms of skills, but it's kind of this innate passion, hunger to be able to get into the space. Because it like other people said, there's SDR, there's BDR roles, there are community social roles. There's these roles that serve as kind of vectors for people to work their way into the space and then go on to be a marketing person or a growth person or a comms person, whatever it may be. So I actually think it's really just wanting to be in the space for the right reason, going to stick around through the highs and lows, and being active in the community. Find a particular ecosystem that speaks to you and get involved there, and get involved in it sounds stupid. This sounds really stupid saying this, but being involved on Twitter and having something a presence there. It sounds so stupid, but it's literally the first thing I tell people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how Evan really kind of got started in the space. And then also one of my buddies, Tom Dunleavy, who I knew in real life, he was just a TradFi guy, and then he started becoming a Twitter personality. And then he used that to go from investment management into, eventually being an analyst at Masari, and then took his career from there. But it was Twitter. That's where he started.
Beautiful. There you go.
And Evan, it was Discord. Hopping into Discord communities.
Yeah, and to Bearded's point, there are definitely roles that value wisdom, strategic thinking, critical thinking over coding, over tech. Larissa, since we haven't had a chance to ask you about it, I know you work with people in the soft skills mostly. You're pretty technically savvy. You know more about this stuff than 99% of people walking around, but that's probably not the most forward skill in your arsenal, or maybe even the arsenal of the people that you work with. Can you share more?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a technical person. I'm actually hoping that my AirPods don't connect to my computer somehow because I'm not wearing them. Because I wouldn't know what to do or how to fix it. So like that's the level of tech skills that I'm working with. But I think fundamentally what you need is curiosity and adaptability, a hunger for fast pace and ability to move quickly. And that's just like baseline. Beyond that, crypto and Web3 in general is really broad. So there's really something for everybody as long as you're willing to put in the work, because the industry moves so quickly. There's so much being done constantly. And that's what makes it so exciting and fun also. But you really have to have the drive to like put in the effort and keep up to the extent that anybody can keep up, and continue learning. Like that's like the most critical thing. Beyond that, I work primarily in comms and PR. So my core skill sets are like writing, communication, social media, things like that, things that are very quote unquote soft skill and not technical. But again, that hunger and drive applies in every capacity.
Can you drill down on like some of the roles you've had, Larissa? Maybe if you don't feel comfortable like naming names of companies, some of the kinds of companies you've worked for and the kinds of tasks and duties that have spent your time doing.
Yeah, I mean, I won't name our current clients, but I was previously in-house at OKX, which is the second largest crypto exchange in the world, or at least it was while I was there. And it was just this constant hurdle of communicating what we were doing to the public, to our target users, and communicating the value of crypto. I think it's part of all of our jobs to do that, communicate the value of crypto, whether you're a developer in BD, you're communicating to somebody why this needs to be done and why it needs to exist. And for me, a lot of that has looked like media relations, trying to gear press coverage to be more positive about crypto versus just negative and skeptical, and educating reporters so that they can educate the public, because that's where a lot of people are getting their crypto information, obviously, is from the news. And if all they're reading about is scams and chaos and grifters, then that's what everybody's going to think that crypto is. So a lot of my job is working with the reporters to help them understand that it's not all just bad stuff and criminals and et cetera. It's really monumental and innovative monetary work as well.
Will, I heard somebody say to this point earlier today, Will the Trill, not my Will, but also my Will, nothing, too many Wills, that they were surprised when they started working at Coinbase that a lot of Coinbase's employees a few years ago were not crypto users. And one of the questions floating around the audience right now is this question of age. And if what Larissa says is true, that we really need people of like all shapes and stripes, then we probably need people who are making a career pivot. We probably need, mid or late career lawyers and accountants and crisis people. Do you work with people of all different ages, or do you tend to find that there's one particular demographic? And for context, we have people of all ages in our audience, but the median age for us, like the majority of folks, are between 45 and 60.
Yeah, for context, I'm 32. I think the non-politically correct answer here is a lot of crypto startups that I work with. They're first-time founders, second-time founders coming out of school, and they're in their early or late 20s, and they're going to gravitate towards people who are at that. And they can do that because there's that type of talent on the market coming from Web2 or fintech startups, right? It is really, really, really tough if you're a late professional coming from TradFi or whatever profession to go and pivot into a crypto startup. Now, is it more viable to try and do that at a Coinbase or a larger institution in the space, sure, but it's also going to be dependent on like what you're doing. If you're a lawyer in Web2, could you go be a GC or be on the legal team at Coinbase? Sure, but they're going to look at what type of school you went to, what type of firms you worked at, your career trajectory. So there's a lot of like nuance to it, honestly. I don't know if that helps paint a bit better picture, but that's a fun answer.
Yeah, I'm curious. Go ahead.
I think from a reputational perspective, at least what I'm seeing among clients and prospects that we're talking to, a lot of crypto companies are trying to portray the image of growing up and not being these scrappy type 20-year-old founder-led companies. So at least among the companies that are trying to play with the traditional players, I'm not talking about like the DeFi, degen focused companies. I'm talking about the ones that are trying to work with banks, that are trying to work with major institutions. There really is an appetite for esteemed, distinguished, veteran traditional finance or technology, or really any industry professionals, just people who look like grown-ups, essentially.
Yeah, I think to build on her point real quick, I do think crypto is going through a bit of a phase where it is growing up in the sense, like you see like Stripe acquiring Privy for like $1 billion, and like there's like all these types of M&As going on behind the scenes, and there are still like the hardcore degen like crypto native projects, but there is a growing appetite for people from like more professional or institutional backgrounds, especially at the bigger companies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Zara, are you seeing that too over at Metana? Do you see a lot of people pivoting who are younger, or do you see people of all ages?
We see people of all ages. I think Imit can also speak a little bit more to this point, but something that I think Will also mentioned was the fact that there's a lot of people transitioning from different backgrounds, and that is very true. We have people coming in that we've noticed backgrounds that have absolutely nothing to do with crypto, with coding, something even to do with TradFi. And they actually make that shift, and they usually make that shift to get into hardcore development. But we've, interestingly enough, had a couple of people who moved in from legal, from mergers and acquisitions, from TradFi, and actually take those skills and then are able to implement it in other companies that might be making a little bit of like minor pivots into the Web3 space as well, or who are borrowing concepts from Web3 and from that space into their companies. So we've definitely seen people from different backgrounds, different age groups as well, who are interested in. You mentioned that your target demographic is 45 to 60. We've gotten a couple of people who've come in and asked and inquired about enrolling, and what their career trajectory could look like, what their career pathway could look like, who also fall into that age group. So I think it's an interesting insight to see that there are people. I mean, it's not something that you see in a lot of different fields and a lot of different industries, where people who are a little bit closer to or rather people who are a little bit closer to maybe retiring or actually getting out of the workforce are actually having more of an interest in getting into a different kind of workforce. But I think that's something that's quite unique about the space, and I think it's because it's such a fresh space, and there's so much more that can be done with it. And people who are a little bit older also come with a wealth of experience in other areas that can probably be translated into a growing industry. But yeah, Imeth, I think that maybe that's something you can share here as well.
Yeah. So my answer to this would be now, if you're thinking age is gonna stand in your way, then you need to sort of break that mental barrier, because from what we've seen, we've have a lot of students from different backgrounds, different parts of the world. And again, like Will and Larissa said, the entry starts with how passionate you are in joining this community, right? I've seen a lot of people who've just been in the Discord community being escalated to the internal team just because they were very supportive. So if you ask me if they had degrees or if they had the right skills, maybe not, but they did show them, okay, what mattered, right? What mattered was like they were passionate about a certain project and they helped build the community, right? And that's been the case in most of the times, right? So for instance, we've mapped out individuals who have experience around 4 to 5 years of Web2 coding experience. They can easily pivot to a backend engineering role at Consensus, Nethermind, or something like that, right? So if you are like very early into coding and you don't know anything about coding, then your best shot in getting into a coding role would be to like sort of land an internship or even work with a startup that gives you maybe equity, right? I've seen a lot of people who've used that as a really good experience in their resume and later join companies like WeChain. So from what I've seen is like when it comes to the placements that we have done, it's mostly two things, like the passion and the the skills that you're acquiring for the role that you really want to apply for. So I'm pretty sure like when it comes to other roles, maybe like we'll talk about legal, there are cases where you have some sort of people are more inclined to hire people from different profiles. But again, like if you really want to work in Web3, show them that you really want to work in Web3, and that'll open a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'd like to add on that too. So like I've worked for 2 startups and 2 large multi-billion-dollar companies, and I still work for one of them now outside of what I do here. And I have seen people get hired for roles that they have 0 experience in, but they have one thing, that everything that you guys mentioned, which was a desire and a drive and, personality match with the company cultures. And then the other thing too, something that could help bridge that, was they had some experience in an industry that made working at that company useful, or working within a particular sales group or marketing division useful, because while they didn't have any knowledge in cybersecurity or analytics or supply chain consulting, in my experience, they knew a ton about CPG companies. They knew a ton about manufacturing. They knew a ton about financial services. And even if you have something, just anything that can bridge that gap, and you have that energy, whether it's Web3 or Web2, in my experience working in traditional companies, like that's, you have a chance. Like you have a real shot, and some companies want that. I had another question also from the community, from Matthew as well, and it was a culture question, which is, what is the culture like working in Web3? Granted, it's a lot of companies, but if there's a general working culture in Web3, is it like the same rat race where you're kind of grinding and even your colleagues are competition, essentially? And it's that kind of like, combative environment, typical stereotypical corporate America kind of thing. Would you guys say that? I know there's a lot of companies, probably a lot of different cultures, but curious to get your take on what the culture is like. And I don't know if Will, you want to take the first crack?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the complete opposite. On the contrary, if you want to do like 40-hour work weeks, I would run the other way. Like, this is probably not for you. If you're somebody that's consistently online and you want to index towards like upside in the form of equity or tokens and bonus structure and stuff like that, there's that is on the table. But I don't know, man. Like, I've been doing this for going on 5 years, and like I think what I love the most is just the people and the relationships, and just the lack of normalcy that this industry brings, for lack of better words. I'll let somebody else jump in here, but yeah, I love the culture personally.
Larissa, you mentioned you feel like the culture is like needs to grow up, or there's a sentiment that it needs to grow up. Do you feel like there's like a clash, like a culture war between people who want that and people who don't?
No, I think in general, the sentiment is pretty, if not unanimous, then nearly unanimous. Just that I would say it's unanimous, especially after like the FTX downfall and things like that. There was the sentiment that crypto needs to mature a little, and we need some more guardrails and responsibility and accountability, things like that. But I think the culture that's independent from the culture of the energy and fast-pacedness and community. I think everybody in crypto is in it because they genuinely care about it and genuinely want it to win and succeed. And people don't just work in crypto because they need a job. If they did just want a job, they would go work in any other industry that doesn't take over your life. But people work in crypto because it's genuinely fun and they love it and they care about it and care about learning more.
And what about your experience, everybody, with like, I know that all of you have probably worked with multicultural, multinational teams, people at all ages and all levels. But that's one of the things that I kind of say that really surprised me personally about crypto is how diverse it was. I feel like sometimes there was a time I was at a conference in Miami and we were having a party, and crypto parties, they're something. But this is like one of those crypto parties. It was at like the supercar room or something really expensive. And what struck me was that there were these folks in the corner, these older gentlemen who were wearing these like black business suits, and they had briefcases at this party, and they just looked kind of uncomfortable and out of place. And like they were welcome, but it struck me that maybe as we got to talking, they thought this was going to be like a finance conference and they expected something different. But there were people, in t-shirts. There were people in all kinds of formal wear from all around the world, informal wear. There was like a fire eater, you know what I mean? And all these people they treated each other like colleagues and peers. And that was really interesting to me that, Vitalik Buterin could show up wearing pajama pants with a cat on them and also be acknowledged as like the founder of the future internet. So I don't know if you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for those people who still feel like they're on the outside. What kind of steps would you take? You said Twitter, we said Discord. Maybe Za and Emet, this would be a good time to share. I know Metana specifically has a lot of resources oriented around helping people take the first step, but I'd love to do a round robin and get some, actionable steps from everyone, especially if there's something that you personally can do that maybe they couldn't just get from Coinbase.com. I'd love to hear that. You guys want to go first, Sa?
Yeah, sure. To add on to that, one of the two words that actually come to mind when I think about the community in Web3 is the fact that it's inclusive and it's very accessible. Even when you talk about like meeting people like Vitalik, for example, it's not like you wouldn't think of it in a way where it's like, oh, this is a very elusive person who is unattainable. You can't meet them, you can't ever access them. But he's someone that you bump into at any other Web3 conference that you might go to. And it's so true to the culture of being decentralized in the way that everything is a lot flatter than it is in the traditional working environment that a lot of us are used to. Everyone is very accessible. There's a lot of inclusivity as well. And that's just a lot of, it's just very easy to communicate with people. It's easy to get things done. It's easy to form partnerships. It's easy to build a community. And I think that's something that is really cool about the space. In terms of what you can do, that's like really what we can do and what we can do together, which is actionable to get people more actively into the space. We spoke about a lot of self-learning. There's definitely a lot of self-research that sometimes goes into it when you're getting into Web3 for the first time. I know like my personal experience when I first took the job with Metana was to do a lot of research, and Twitter was actually one of the places that I went to kind of figure out what Web3 was. Because it's such a broad topic and it's very difficult to kind of condense it into something that's very, very simple and easy to understand, because there's just so much going on and it's like an entirely different world. With the self-learning, and this is something that we covered actually, I think in the first time that I spoke to you guys as well. So what we've actually found is that sometimes there's a lot of jargon, most of the times there's a lot of jargon. And in as much as you can tell people that, oh, think of blockchain as a ledger, it doesn't really simplify it. It's just you're explaining jargon sometimes with a little bit more jargon.
Yeah.
And I think that what a lot of people, something that can deter a lot of people from really getting into the space or who think that they're on the outside looking in, is that this is just way too technical and that there's just way too much jargon to ever understand any of it. And because of that, people tend to not even choose the self-learning option, or they might try to choose that self-learning path and then meet a lot of obstacles. Something that we actually do to help with this process is, so our boot camps are all instructor-led. We have a team of technical instructors, and then we have teams of student success coaches and career coaches as well. And these are all people who essentially hold your hand throughout the process. So it's not a situation where you feel like you're in it alone and you have to figure everything out by yourself, and you have 100 tabs open with all the AI models that you can think of, trying to simplify all these terms that you're seeing on the internet and all these other Web3 websites that you've got open as well, trying to kind of break things down. So that's how we simplify the process, because we know that self-learning doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone can, and this is not a reflection at all on individual intellect. There are very intelligent people out there who might still be very daunted by the whole process and by all the jargon that exists there. It's just that we understand that from a very human and empathetic perspective, that this is a brand new space and that it's a new world, and it's a little bit difficult to navigate it on your own. So we just act as guides. So essentially, something that we open up to a lot of people, and you just showed it on the screen, in fact, is having a chat with someone from our admissions team or from even our career team. It's free. You can just have a chat with us, understand a little bit more about the space, have someone speak to you and tell you if this is right for you, or if this is not right for you. And we're very honest in those conversations, despite the fact that yes, we want to bring more developers on chain, we want to help more people transition. If something is not right for someone, or if it's not the right career decision for them, we're not going to be greedy. We're not going to tell you that it's the right thing for you when it isn't. We're going to be honest with you and tell you what it actually does look like, what your realistic trajectory is going to look like. Especially if, and it would have been, our admissions team would probably be able to speak a whole lot better to this, is that we've come across a lot of instances like that. And we are very honest and open about what the actual situation might look like. But yeah, that's actually something that we've been thinking of opening up to the right community as well, is to offer you guys offer the community free one-on-one career sessions in the event that somebody wants to have a chat and understand what exactly their career pathway could look like and where they should start. Because I think that that's another area that people just don't know. And we discussed this at the beginning with entry points. People don't know where to start, because there's a lot. Do you start with understanding what crypto is? Do you start with trading? Do you start with understanding what blockchain development is? Do you start by reading about Bitcoin? Where do you start? And I think that that's something that we can help with in terms of demystifying that and kind of bringing it down to a central point of, okay, start here in the simplest location and then take the path that happens most organically to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Will, what would you say? As somebody who's a recruiter, do you have a list of resources that folks can peruse? Do you think they should call you? What's the best step to get started?
What's the question more directly? Rephrase it.
The question more directly is, I've heard this conversation. I'm excited. I want to go to Twitter and start learning, but I need some more actionable guidance from your perspective specifically.
Figure out what your strengths are, figure out what your interests are, figure out what types of roles you want to contribute to, figure out what types of ecosystem projects, whether you want to work at the consumer app level or the infrastructure level or in an ecosystem or a DeFi degen project, figuring out all these kind of moving pieces. That's going to be the first step. Go make your Twitter, go get on chain and actually use crypto products that. You would think that's just kind of a given, but there's plenty of people who don't do it. So actually get on chain, use these products, because it will help you in interviewing and helping you navigate the space. I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah. Okay. And then come back and follow you on Twitter and say, hey, Will, I did the homework. What's next?
I'll take it.
Okay, cool. Larissa, what would you add?
So as a non-technical person with no financial or technology background, I can trace my aha moment back to one podcast episode specifically, which was Tim Ferriss's episode with Naval Ravikant and Nick Szabo. It's called The Quiet Master of Cryptocurrency, and it came out years ago, when I was getting into crypto, so around 2017, 2018. But it breaks down the most simple, rudimentary components of the entire industry. What is blockchain? What is money? Why do we have paper money? How can money be digitized? Why does money need to be digitized? Just all the dumbest questions that most non-technical people are afraid to ask now. And it starts from the bottom up. And that episode is what really made it click for me. And then also the Little Bitcoin book by the Bitcoin Collective. It's more of a narrative focused. it offers examples of Bitcoin in practice and different like stories, different areas of the world where people actually need Bitcoin to survive because their money is worthless, their fiat money. So those are two really great resources. I actually also should say that, yes, that's the one. I also host a podcast, not to steal or take your listeners away, but the Seeking Alpha podcast. Yes, there it is. We try and break down crypto to make it understandable for people who never thought that they would be interested or able to learn crypto. We try and make it fun and relatable. We also talk about dating and careers, but it's like at a very basic level that we talk about crypto. So I would say just figure out what part of crypto or blockchain or Web3 in general interests you and really lean into that, because there's so much to explore and nobody in crypto knows everything. It's impossible and it's constantly changing and moving. So there's no way to keep up across all the different verticals. So if it's more the financial monetary component that interests you, if it's the trading, the money making, if it's the meme coins, the cultural component, like figure out what that is and what resonates with you and then really lean into that. And don't try and keep up with everything because you can't and it gets too overwhelming.
I appreciate that. And I do want to say it's not about taking listeners away. There's plenty of listeners to go around. And if you don't listen to Seeking Alpha, then you are lost, my friend. I heard your episode today on my ride back home to get ready for the show. And I just want to say, I am so flabbergasted about the arm slurping you experienced from that dude.
The amount of washing these babies have undergone since then.
I was like, what? So, yeah, that's the teaser. You want to hear the rest? I mean, there was a fantastic analysis of the Roblox economy. And you regularly, I loved the last episode when you were talking about the rightful outrage we should have at how institutions have been buying Bitcoin out of their pocket while telling us, no, it's not a good idea. So you are always the alpha. I really, really love what you guys do. Yeah.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, if you're listening because you just tuned in, then this is the Working in Web3 panel with several of our expert friends and guests, and now your friends too. If you missed the start, don't fret, don't sweat. We're going to have the recording available for you to listen to forever on your favorite social. You can find the link at rumshq.com. We'll have it there for you, and we will have in the description links to follow each of our friends and all of the resources that they shared today. Fun fact, Larissa, it was actually an explanation by Chris Dixon on Tim Ferriss's podcast, also with Naval Ravikant, that really helped me understand smart contracts and get excited about them. I was a crypto user for a couple of years before that, and that was what made me see like, oh, this is huge. And the episode with Nick Szabo is also excellent. It's killer. We are at about that time where I know a couple of our guests have to get going soon. So we're going to round this out with a bit of final thought time. So if you've got a last minute question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom for one of our guests, then let us know before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. Will and I might stick around an extra minute just to wrap things up. But in the meantime, thank you. I really appreciate all your time tonight. Emet, since I didn't go to you for the last question, I would love to hear your thoughts on where to get started, but also if you have a final thought, a final ask for our audience, then certainly the floor is yours.
So I want to add something particular to the event you mentioned, the crypto party at Miami, right? I would say just tag along. The next time they go to a crypto party, maybe wear something casual, and instead of expecting like a conference, just be very casual and just go to it. And for anyone who's wondering, okay, where do I start? I think you heard words like DeFi. What is DeFi? Decentralized finance, right? So how does this work? And how does the blockchain help? So I think you need to start questioning these terms. And that's a good way to get an understanding about what all of these stuff mean, right? And if you do have a budget, I would give you a pro tip. That would be to go to Eat Denver or like Token 2049. Don't pay for the main event. Go for the side events.
And these are conferences.
These are conferences, right? So, and if you take Token 2049, it's this in Singapore. I'm not doing any promotions here. I'm just telling you guys my experience. So basically, if you can go to the side events, there's a lot of companies doing side events, and in these events, it's networking mixers, and you also sort of get to meet all of these different people. And I think that will be like a really good starting point, because some of these events, after you do the whole networking, there's like ice baths to take, and there's like all of these fun stuff to do. And that's crypto community events at its finest, right? So I've been to DevCon last year as well. There were around 12,000 participants, and a lot of the people I met were actually very new to the industry, and they were just here to see, okay, what is this all about, right? So it's not just crypto. Web3 is much more than that. There's a lot of things that you can do with the blockchain technology, and the technology itself is something that is getting out into the world compared to the 2023 2020 hypes we saw with NFTs. Now there's a lot of advocates for the technology itself. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I've got on the screen share here a website called Luma that you can find just by searching Luma, Luma. And that is, I have found a go-to crypto event hub. I searched Token 2049. I saw it here in Singapore coming up later in September. And there's, I mean, already dozens and dozens and dozens of mostly free events that you can find hosted by companies you know. A lot of the time they'll be free. They'll have food, they'll have drinks, and it's a vibe for everyone. They might have video gaming. They might have, this one says rooftop yoga. They have an AI summit. They have all kinds of stuff. And I can't tell you what a valuable tip that is. So thank you, Emmett.
Yes. And it's free, right? So I think it'll be your air ticket that will cost you. But other than that, if you can find the hacker houses, your accommodation will also be free. So just give a shot at participating in one of these events, and mainly go for the side events. And the tip is, before you fly out there, just sign up to all the side events. And when you go to Singapore or Dubai, wherever that event is, you can just pull up your phone and you just go to the closest event.
Mm-hmm. That's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
Great tip. Will, what about you? Will the Trill, have you got a final thought, final ask, final suggestion for our audience?
Not really, no. I'm going down to Argentina later this year for Dev Connect, which will be in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
I think like stablecoin adoption rate, due to like inflation, is one of the highest, besides like Kenya, I think might have the highest for like USDT, which is Tron. I don't know. I think it's a pretty exciting time to be able to get involved in the industry with like solving for real issues like payments and cross-border payment rails and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one.
I'll be there too.
I was about to say, Evan, you're going to be there also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the best conferences. It's like very high signal, very developer heavy. So yeah, I'm pumped.
Beautiful. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you there. Larissa, have you got a final thought and ask a good joke, word of wisdom for the audience?
Yeah, final thought is just that getting into crypto is one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I say that as somebody who, I just can't emphasize enough how not financially oriented I was, or really still am, even it's work in progress. But I mean, financially savvy, or technologically savvy. But there's so much value and reward that comes from being part of building something and being able to build something, this whole movement with so many different kinds of people. It's so interesting, so fun, so exciting. And I really can't recommend, if you're considering the switch from your current industry to crypto, I really can't recommend it enough. There's enough resources out there. There's enough people who are willing to help that you'll make it work. And you don't have to be technical. You don't have to be technical.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Za, the final thought for our guest tonight goes to you.
Yeah, I think I'll leave everyone with don't be afraid to ask the stupid question. Because I think that with Web3 and with crypto, especially when you're just getting into it, everything feels like a stupid question. I mean, I felt this way when I joined Metana, and everyone in the office was throwing all these words around about stable coins and the metaverse and decentralized, and I was a bit clueless as to what all of this meant. And when everyone seems so savvy, you feel a little bit like the outlier, and you feel a little bit like, if I ask them what the blockchain is, I'm going to look like an idiot. But here's the thing: everyone who sounds like like they know everything that they're talking about and know exactly what they're talking about, they all felt like the idiot in the room as well at some point, because at some point this was new to them too. None of us woke up knowing exactly how smart contracts worked, for example. I'm still figuring it out. But don't be afraid to ask that stupid question. And the beautiful thing about the Web3 space is, and I've spoken to, this is how I actually started learning things, is in joining communities and speaking to the people who run those communities or the people leading those communities, you can learn so much. I've stepped into conversations with organizations that we've been partnering with, and I haven't been afraid to ask the stupid question. Sometimes when they get really technical, and I'm like, slow down, I don't come from a technical background. What does that mean? And the beautiful thing is they'll explain it to you without looking down on you. They're not going to be condescending. They're not going to look at you like you're expecting that you should already be knowing this. They will explain it to you. So ask people. I think that the main takeaway here is that that's what Will said. I think what Imet said and what Evan said as well, and what Larissa also said, is essentially community is at the heart of all of this. It's meeting people, it's joining. And let's say that you don't, like, for example, let's say that you can't afford an air ticket to one of these conferences. Let's say that there isn't a conference that you can go to, or you're not in a position to actually attend. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to have these opportunities. There's a lot of stuff that happens online as well, like this, for example, that you can join. You can join a lot of webinars, a lot of AMAs, a lot of X Spaces, a lot of panel discussions online, and you can learn a lot from that. Research a little bit about your local communities as well, which might be a whole lot smaller. These might be very, very specific to tiny little geographical locations. It'll be a small community, but you'll learn so much from them as well. So research about what's going on in your local area. And if you're in an area where there actually isn't anything happening and you're not in a position to travel, do a lot of research, find out what's happening online, and then join those sessions. And don't try to learn everything all at once. For example, if you joined a session like this and you heard about 7 different terms that you're curious about and that you don't understand, just choose one for the moment and then hone in on that, drill down on that, and try to figure out what that is. Then move on to the next. Because invariably, when you start researching one thing, you're going to be able to piggyback and jump off of other things and learn all of that as you go along as well. So I would say, don't be afraid to ask a stupid question, leverage community, and take it a little bit easy on yourself. Everybody has been the idiot in the room at some point, or has felt that way rather.
Well, and we're not here to dumb it down for you. We're here to help everybody rise up. That's what the show's named for. And I appreciate all of you for making time to help the audience rise up today. So thank you again for making time to join us. I'll be in touch on the Telegram, but let's give it up for these folks. Show your appreciation. Thank you all for making time, and we'll catch up to you guys soon, okay?
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
What a conversation, Will. They were great, right? All stars.
No, they were. I mean, like, if you want to get into the Web3 space, you have so many different avenues for you. But again, like, the most important underpinning thing, 2 things. 1, passion, interest, and energy in the space. And the other most important thing is, I mean, they didn't necessarily say it, but it's really that networking. Like, the most important thing you can do is to get to know other people in the space, and you'll have opportunities start to percolate. And I think the best single way to do that is at these conferences, because that's where the entire industry meets everybody. That's where people are looking to try to help people. So many people in the space, like Larissa, and Za, like, didn't have any real background or knowledge about Web3 before kind of really working and getting into the space. Will has a military background, and then he, builds more of a background around that as well. But, it's not like anybody started working in Web3 knowing everything about crypto, because it's such a young industry. If you can go meet somebody who has done what you're looking to do, and they like you, you come off professional, you come off interested, and you say, hey, this is what I want, and I will do anything to make this happen, they'll help you because they would have loved to have had somebody who could have helped them. And those are the two things you need: energy, passion, and then also you got to go meet some people. And that can be Discord, that can be on Twitter, but these events, there are a bunch all over. I know we mentioned a lot of that are in all over the world, and wherever you are watching this, maybe Singapore is close to you, maybe Dubai is close to you. Evan, Alex, and I were at ETH Denver earlier this year. Went to a crap ton of free events, way better than the conference. We were in Toronto, conferences, fine. Events around it, amazing, way better, made way more connections with people. And these events are free. There's an event nearby, and if it's not nearby, it's close-ish. And you can go for free, attend those events, meet some people, shake some hands, kiss some babies. Yeah.
Or, shake some babies, kiss some hands, dude, whatever your recipe.
That's crypto. Shit's weird. Shit's weird sometimes.
Yeah. And I will say, just to make it extra clear for the people who are, okay, I really need you to break it down a little further. That's the whole point of the community, especially if you're watching this and you're not connected to a community. The best thing you can do is get in a group like this where people who work here or are interested in working here, who live here, there, everywhere, are talking together, are sharing resources. Ours is, of course, the Rise Up community. You can find the link. It's right at the top of the website, RUMS, RUMSHQ.com. You don't have to pay a thing to join. We do have premium memberships where you can get all kinds of bells and whistles and accelerate your journey. But just like these conferences, it's the kind of thing where you just get started. And if you're having trouble starting, I want to personally invite you. Me and Will, we're happy to see you anytime you show up there. Tell us. We came from the Working in Web3 panel. We'll be like, hey, awesome, great. We'll roll out the welcome wagon for you. It feels like a party. The only thing missing is you. And I don't know, Will, I would say too, for those folks who are looking for a place to start, you mentioned I kind of, got my start in social media, Discord. I really would say, find those protocols you like, a crypto company, find their Discord, find their Telegram, find their Twitter, and just be active, establishing yourself in relationship with them. The internet's a giant room and you can stand next to anybody. And if you start talking and adding value again and again and again, and you got the same profile picture and the same name every time, they're going to recognize you. They're going to remember you.
They're totally going to recognize you.
Crypto needs good customer service, good people skills. And if you just show up and you're friendly, you will find yourself a job pretty quickly.
Yeah. And here's an example of that, just much lower down because it's not a job, but it got what I wanted. And I have thoroughly enjoyed Pudgy Penguin's brand since they were just an NFT and started doing their stuff, right? And if you guys have been following me on Twitter, you know that I've been trying to get Luca to come onto the show. He's the CEO. And we got him booked in October. Hey. I forget exactly what day, but it's going to be one of the Wednesday night after dark episodes. And he's here. And how I got his attention is I just started playing his game and started posting about it. And honestly, I was having a really good time. And I'm apparently very good at it, mainly because I'm competing against 8-year-olds. But started posting about it, tried to get the community, and then, I guess we all poked him enough times, and now we're going to get him on the show, right? But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't engage with their products and solutions, and if find something that you really love and enjoy. And I love their brand, and so it was no real work or effort on my part to engage with them. I have hundreds of dollars of their cards I bought the cards just because I thought they were dope. So someone who I really wanted to talk to. And now I'm going to get the opportunity to do so. And it was only impossible because I started engaging and using their IP and their solutions and diving a little bit into their community as well. So, take that same model, do the same thing with a different target of get a job.
Yeah, I ate hot dogs all summer, dude. I
ate hot dogs all summer.
But if I didn't know Mike, who is a senior software engineer at Base, the layer 2 of Coinbase, knows everybody there. Now that I've eaten all his hot dogs and gotten on the leaderboard or whatever and been helpful and friendly, if I had never known him, if that was my only first impression, what a hell of a story that would be. And then I could reach out to him and just be like, hey, Mike, loved eating hot dogs with you this summer. Curious to learn more about Coinbase. I am an accountant. Is there anybody there I can talk to? And I know he would be like, dude,
hell yeah. Dude, yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me get you in touch. Yeah, absolutely. Because you engaged with his baby, which was a Logadog competition, or for Luca, his Pudgy Penguins business, or whoever it is, and insert company and whatever their baby is.
Also, heads up to Bearded saying Pengu up 9% since Will started playing. So
you're welcome.
Nice job. October 29th, Will, is the date to watch for. So I'm thinking that's going to end up being a Halloween themed episode of After Dark, which is practically perfect. I'm thinking we show up in penguin costumes.
Oh my God, that's going to be, I think that's my last show before I go to Japan too.
Oh, so we got to do it big.
Yeah, we got to do it big. I need to buy like a Pudgy Penguins costume. I don't know if they're available. I'm going to be searching. Actually, I need to write this down on my to-do list, which is right here.
Okay, and then let's give ourselves a round of final thoughts. I want to remind everybody in the audience that really you are the very best part of what we do. Just like the folks in the comments said, this is great networking. Jeff Rasco, you're right. We love you guys. We love getting to hang out, to spend time together. These are the relationships that help us build bridges to skills, to experience. If you're just here to be an investor, to money, it is the wealth here. So thank you for being the very best part of what we do. We're going to be back tomorrow with what you got. What you got?
ISY. I had office hours for an hour. I was chatting with a few folks in our community.
Yeah.
And the ISY goes, I've been playing Pudgy Party for hours now after our talk on office hours today. Will ... Thank you, Will.
Not a paid testimonial, but Luca, if you're out there.
Fun. The game is fun. It's fun. It's a real good time. And guess what? NFTs are built into it too. And you have no idea. It's a beautiful thing. You have no idea that NFTs are built to do it. I can't wait to talk to Luca.
Dude, I can't wait to talk to
I'm going
Luca.
to fangirl so hard.
Yeah. Our job is mostly going to be talking Will down from screaming, I love you.
I love what you're doing. I will be in a penguin costume.
Yeah, obviously. Absolutely. It's a
Obviously.
fun game. I can't wait to play more of it. I started playing the other night. I even showed Kimberly and I was like, look, this is what crypto games could have been 5 years ago. And it took us this long, but look at how cute he is. Look how cute he is when he goes to do the little sprint.
All I'm going to say is if you're in the final round with me, you are going to lose. And I am always mustard, which is the hot dog. It's the penguin in a hot dog costume. It's the first one you get and you end up getting a mega fireball as you level them up. And there are levels, and then you're just toast. If you get into the final round with me, you're just done. I have a win streak that's 38 wins long, of top 5 finishes, and I started writing down because I was like, I wonder if they calculate these stats, and they don't. So I have a sheet of paper of the past 28 matches. I have won 21.
It's a long win streak.
I will destroy all of these 8-year-olds.
You don't want to end up with in a final with Will because
my dad can beat up your dad.
I will win as mustard.
Cut the mustard.
It's great. Honestly, I'm going to be playing it tonight. I'm good.
Well, then I'm going to let you get to it right after I tell the folks that tomorrow you want to tune into the morning show because we have got our friend Ryan Lucero from the community coming to share his story. That is going to be a great conversation. I absolutely can't wait. If you're a premium member, you can sign up right now. I've got a thread that's live. Matt, our friend, is coming next week. It's the new feature for Web3 101 Wednesday. We want your stories, your experience to tell people your journey. And then also to answer your crypto questions. So Ryan, if you're out there, can't wait to talk to you. We've got Evan McMullen of Billions, formerly Pravado ID, formerly Disco XYZ, coming to talk to us about decentralized identity, how a blockchain can be both open, yet permissioned, private, yet verifiable, all these good things. And then Thursday, we have got Nathan from Station 70 and Foundation. They're talking about succession. They're talking about consumer crypto products. Lots of great stuff. We can't wait to tell you about it. But right now we got to go because Will's got to play Pudgy Penguin. So have you got to find
and I got to clean the kitchen and I got to eat a little bit more because I'm still starving. I only had enough time to eat part of my dinner. My final thought is ISY, send me a DM in the community, in the Circle community, because we can party up and we can play Pudgy Party together. So send me a DM on Circle. Other than that, yeah, guys, go outside, go work out, take care of your body, wash your skin, all that stuff that I usually say, and sell a little bit when you're in profits. I don't know. That's all I got.
That's all he's got. And
I'm low on calories.
All I've got is Bearded says, maybe we are still early to the space, to which I would say, you are definitely early. It feels exclusive, but the catch is you're invited. So, my friends, let's get to it. Will, go eat something. I'll see you in the Pudgy Party, and everybody else will see you next time. Until then, my friends, thank you. Stay safe. Be well. Everybody, rise up.